Right, because then way later in 2001, House Party 4 came out, which had nothing to do with anything that you guys had done previously in the movies.
We wasn't even in that
You weren't
one.
even in it. Then
They asked, you know what? It's weird. Whatchamacallit, originally, they stepped to us. And New Line said, yo, we're going to get Andre Harrell, the late, great Andre Harrell, who I went to college with, by the way, in New York. He was going to produce the next House Party 4. But it wasn't just all on Andre. It was the film company as well, New Line. They were kind of feeling like, like Kid and Play, kind of pushing us to the side. They were trying to style it more for immature, that group. You know what I'm saying? So once again, we kind of got emotional about it. And so we were like, yo, fuck you. We're not doing House Party 4. Okay? We don't want to do it. We feel like, our role was being diminished, in the creative talks. And, just the vibe, we just didn't feel like we were being respected. So we passed. Now, they started doing the film. And our manager at the time, we had our manager, the late, great Bernie Brillstein, who's a great guy. One of those old school managers go tell you, shut up, you cocksucker, one of them motherfuckers, right? So he calls us up and says, hey, they want you to do a cameo in this House Party 4. All they need you for is a week, and they'll give you $100,000 a piece. And I remember at the time thinking like, who can't use $100,000, for a week's worth. But then there was something in my heads was like, you know what they're gonna do? We're gonna do our shit for a week. Then they're gonna chop it up, make it look like we're all up in the joint. We're not. It's gonna flop. We're gonna take a bath. We're gonna get the blame. Now, maybe that was a little bit too much conjecture, you know what I'm saying? In retrospect, I probably should have just took the $100,000 and just and just bounced. But we passed, and I'm glad we passed. It wasn't, I love Immature and I love those guys, but it wasn't up to the standard that we had been doing.
Right, because then House Party 5 came out.
Right. We did that
in 2013, and you guys had a cameo in that.
Yeah, well, that was different. We got down with that last House Party because the producer was an old friend of mine, old friend of ours, Doug McHenry, who had actually produced House Party 2. And, he stepped to us and, asked us very nicely. And, it was a day's work, for a nice piece of change, So that was different. That was more of on the personal side of it. And like I said, over the years, you just try to stop making emotional decisions and keep trying to make logical ones. So we were making more logical decisions by then.